Hey there, everyone. Hope you're having a good Thursday evening. The bulls have showed up since we last checked in. We've got a lot to look at. We're going to look at a bull perspective and a bear perspective. And then I'll chat with you all in the chat room. Feel free to let me know where you're tuning in from. We might get some Australians on this stream. I think it's AM in Australia. All right, we're going to get right into it. So as of yesterday, the Nasdaq had a double top on the daily time frame, and so there's a little bit of a pause. Can we break this resistance level? And the answer is yes, we certainly can. And we had a bullish reaction to GDP numbers. We had a bullish reaction to Apple and Amazon earnings. So now we've gotten all of those fundamentals out of the way, and we don't have to worry about them anymore. So not a whole lot of fundamentals to be worrying about in the short term. Second half of earnings, maybe even just the final third of earnings, but all of the major players are out of the way at this point. So at this point, we have the Nasdaq testing our weekly lower high. And right now it's a double top, but we were also very extended into that resistance test, so that resistance is in play over the next couple of days. If that level breaks, that increases probabilities that the next time the Nasdaq consolidates, we can see a weekly higher low form as a result of that. We're watching, even if we reject, we're watching for the potential of a weekly inverse head and shoulders to try and gain an uptrend for the Nasdaq bulls. If we look at the healthcare sector, just as an example, it already confirmed an inverse head and shoulders. The healthcare sector is a lead bull and is in a weekly uptrend. So everybody wants to be in a weekly uptrend. Our stronger sectors are already doing it. The Nasdaq has not done it yet. Higher low every single week for the last 6 weeks. Anybody that has shorted the Nasdaq in the last 2 months is underwater or break even at best. And you're going to notice on social media a shift in sentiment. Sentiment lags price. And just like we were talking about on the way down, when the bottom is hit, certainly not going to say that this is the bottom at this point, but when the bottom is hit, you're going to have a ton of people with lower targets that never get hit. And so now that we've had a really bullish week to all these fundamentals, you're going to see more people shift their sentiment a little bit. And so again, that's in response. It's a lagging indicator to the price going up over the last few weeks. So I am a bit more confident in the strength of the Nasdaq and the S&P 500 than I am in Bitcoin at the moment. And that's just because we've got a whole bunch of space here. We followed through. We broke resistance and saw 2% of follow through. And we can pull back on the daily chart 2, 3, 4% and still be in a daily uptrend. So I am bullish the stock market in the short term as long as we are in a daily and an hourly uptrend. I'm just keeping it very simple. There are definitely some top fishing shorts that I can take as some day trades, but my bias overall, the underlying bias I have, will be bullish. Keeping in mind, longer term time frames are bearish. I'm bearish on the monthly, I'm bearish on the weekly, but I'm bullish on the daily and I'm bullish on the hourly. So those are two very different perspectives based on the time frames that we're looking at. One other thing to note about today's action, both the Nasdaq and the S&P 500, 5-minute back burner was gobbled up. First 5-minute oversold conditions marked the low of the day, and then we V-shaped to a higher high. So back burners are absolutely back on the table. We're going to be watching for next hourly oversold conditions. And so that means for me that back burners are certainly back on the table in a lot of cryptocurrency names as well. So keep it simple. We got a daily uptrend on the Nasdaq. And as long as it remains intact, the bulls keep control. Bitcoin is testing resistance right now. So earlier today, I looked at the watch list, and after yesterday, well, it doesn't look so bright and green anymore in terms of the big numbers because the daily candle just closed, but there's a whole bunch of green the last 2 days. So I was feeling a little bit of euphoria and saying, okay, gotta put my bear glasses on just to look from the other perspective. And looking at Bitcoin with my bear glasses on, this is what I drew, just as a bit of a visual guide, saying that if we reject from 24.3, or if we break it with no follow through, then this resistance line is going to be very valid for me. So going to be watching this very closely if we were to see a red day tomorrow and reject from 24.3, or again, break it by, a few $100 straight into consolidation. But no doubt about it, let's go back in time a little bit. So the most likely scenario that we were looking for was a 2-day higher low, which we got, and then I was looking for a lower high and a tightening range. And so I, in hindsight, didn't anticipate the reaction to all these fundamentals enough in terms of putting pressure on shorts that could allow for a significant bull move. And so over the last couple of days, I've been a bit lazy in terms of not actively, aggressively getting back into some position. As I mentioned in the past, I sold my Ethereum in the upper 1500s from under 1,000, that swing trade. And I was in no rush to jump back in just because my logic was, number one, I want to wait until the FOMC is past us. And number two, I was looking for a tightening 2-day range. And so because of that, I felt no rush to need to jump back into an entry. And this is where your anti-FOMO long-term no-touch position helps, because my net worth has gone up the last 2 days because of that. So that definitely helps combat the FOMO. But it's all about this Bitcoin's resistance test on the daily, watching weekly EMA 12. If we break 24.3, weekly EMA 12 is going to be at about 25.5. So that would be the next visual target that we look towards if we do get some bounce follow through. Shorter term, hourly is still an uptrend and very strong. Aggressive bears are hoping this is a 30-minute head and shoulders, and it may be. We are finding the best entries, again, for bulls on consolidation, 5-minute oversold if you're looking to be aggressive, 15-minute oversold if you're looking to be more patient, hourly oversold if you're looking to be more patient, 4-hour oversold if you're looking to be more patient. 4-hour oversold conditions marked our higher low here. And so that's a good sign for bulls. And generally, in a really strong bull environment, I play the 5-minute back burner, and then I play the hourly back burner, and then I play the 4-hour back burner. So it's nice to see all these time frames responding as the bulls want them to. If you see 4-hour oversold and you bounce and then you drop to lower lows, that shows one thing. If 4-hour oversold marks the daily or the 2-day higher low and you V-shape, again, that shows aggressive dip buying. So the best bear entries have been bull breaks with no follow through. And we're going to go through a bunch of altcoins now. And granted, bears haven't gotten a lot of follow through over the last 2 days, but there has been enough to maneuver a bit where it's the bull breaks that lack follow through that have bears jumping into entries. And that's part of a broadening wedge pattern. Ethereum has a nice clear one that we'll look at, but there's a clear resistance line to be keeping an eye on. And again, if we confirm this 30-minute head and shoulders and drop down and break 23.6, that just means we're going to zoom out and look for a 4-hour higher low. And we had a nice 4-hour higher low this morning, holding EMA 12. And 15-minute didn't get oversold, but 5 got down there. So 5-minute oversold conditions, marking a 4-hour higher low. Again, aggressive dip buying from the bulls. So Bitcoin has not broken resistance, and we have a mixed bag between altcoins that have broken resistance and altcoins that have not broken resistance. Bitcoin divided by the Nasdaq, again, our relative strength chart. Who's stronger, the stock market or crypto or Bitcoin? And the answer is there's not much difference still. Yes, we had the bull break. That was nice for a little bit of confidence. It did not last long. Yes, we've been relatively stronger the last couple of days. But again, on the whole here, we can say that we're not doing much different. We're doing what the stock market is doing. This is when we're doing something different. This is when we're doing something different. This is when we're doing something different. So the clear breakouts or breakdowns, we're doing something different. When we're sideways, we're doing the same thing. So I look at this chart real quick and say, all right, don't really need to look at it long because it's not really giving me any information. The dominance chart being at its lows is a good sign for bulls because, in my opinion, bulls want altcoins to continue to lead the way, which we have been doing, to show strength. Because, again, what we look for is Bitcoin gets, and what happened yesterday, Bitcoin gets the bull reaction to the FOMC right here, and then drops hard. The dominance chart drops hard while Bitcoin hardly consolidates. And that shows us altcoins catching up. So it's like this confidence booster. Bitcoin gets a shot in the butt of steroids, and it's a confidence booster. And then you get that confidence seeping out into the altcoins. And so they play catch up. So that's what you always want to see. It's what I always want to see. Bitcoin lead up, Bitcoin sideways or bull flag consolidation, and the dominance chart dropping and giving back its entire move while altcoins all catch up. We want profits to be rolling around. We want profits to be coming from 100% Matic move and going into the 50% ADA move to then see it play catch up. We want to see that environment, which again just shows confidence. It increases trading activity. It increases gains. It increases interest. It increases social media exposure. All that stuff. Ethereum. Ethereum is one of our lead bulls that headed to a higher high on the daily time frame. We do have, again, the bull breaks aren't getting tons of follow through. It's a megaphone pattern here. So you can see our previous resistance was 1664. We break it by $12 into a pullback. Granted, it was a bull flag, but these breaks aren't getting tons of follow through, which is understandable because, again, we just came straight from 1300s back to 1700s. That's a very significant move in a short amount of time. We just went 30% in 3 days. So it's not surprising that bulls are showing a little bit of exhaustion here. And again, same thing. If we see this little head and shoulders like pattern break bear, we're going to zoom out and look for another 4-hour high or low, anything above 1592. So keep an eye on this Ethereum megaphone. It's definitely worth paying attention to. We've had some Chart Guys members that have been shorting this resistance, and that has been working out more often than not. But it does matter to me, the Nasdaq. I am going to be watching that Nasdaq weekly resistance. It doesn't matter to me if we don't break it tomorrow, but if we were to retrace, half of this move without breaking weekly resistance, that would definitely get my attention. And again, I cannot stress enough to, if you want to be completely plugged in on the markets, to watch our daily wrap-up videos after the stock market closes, because I think it's going to be pretty clear to recognize red flags for the bulls in the stock market, which again, we can easily then transfer that information over to crypto. But I'm looking for a number of things. Do all of our major sectors drop at the same time like they did back here? Is there high bear volume? These are all going to be clues as to whether or not weekly consolidation is shaping up or not. And it definitely looked like we were on the verge of crypto weekly consolidation. And this week's bullish reaction to fundamental data definitely saved it. Ethereum BTC continuation here as well. Uptrending resistance line to be keeping an eye on here as well. Looks like they're both megaphones. So just keep an eye on the 4-hour uptrend. We can see 4-hour consolidation has already started. Perhaps a little clue that Ethereum USD 4-hour consolidation is shaping up. And again, I've just been so impressed with this ETH BTC bounce with 90% retracement from where we came from and trading at levels that we were trading at on the way up. When did we top out? Topped out November 2021. And May, June, July, the whole bull market, this is how strong Ethereum was compared to Bitcoin. And here we are, pretty much near the strongest we were during the bull market we are right now, which just means the dip buying has been much more significant in Ethereum than in Bitcoin. And I am losing some clarity on this longer term perspective here. We're going for a 6-month trend change? I don't know. We'll keep it simple and stick with the daily and the weekly. So a couple altcoins to check out. Ape has had great volatility in both directions. Double top at 694. Everybody eats. Bulls and bears. Pullback of over 20%. Bull move of over 30%. But again, same thing, these bull breaks, we can draw these uptrending resistance lines because they aren't getting a ton of follow through. There are definitely some megaphones to be keeping an eye on. Same thing, if we see a pullback from here, we'll look for a 4-hour high or low, anything above 632. Nice little double top for aggressive bears. There are double tops on Ape. 694 was a double top. Now 721 is a double top. So, Sweetie Pants is snoring. So there are definitely some bear trades to be had. The only thing you don't want to be doing is banging your head against the wall and consistently stopping out in one direction. If that's the case, you take a step back and you zoom out and you trade less. But this is the kind of scenario where, say I've had some bullish positions that have been benefiting the last 3 days. Absolutely, I'm going to take some low risk top fishing bearish entries along with taking a bit of profit from those longs. But the more long positions that I'm going to hold through next consolidation, the more I want to be scouting some bearish top fishing entries. Actually, Ape looks like a falling wedge here. This just caught my eye. Not much of a... We're going to see volatility, we know that much. Not much of a downward slope here. But if 688, that's a triple bottom. If 688 breaks, then we will be looking for that 4-hour consolidation to very clearly be underway. So that's pretty much the question we have over the next hour or two. Is 4-hour consolidation about to shape up? What's our clue on Ape? So Ape, USD, bull break to a higher high. Ape, BTC, did not break bull. That's your first red flag. Doesn't mean it can't be a laggard and eventually break bull, but it needs to catch your attention and say, okay, I need to be a little bit cautious because the BTC pairing is not following. It is showing me relative weakness. And if we shape up a daily lower high on this BTC pairing, then we know Ape is likely to consolidate more significantly than a lot of altcoins. Litecoin's been getting some attention. So big 2-day bull move up. Biggest bull volume we've seen in a while, at least on Coinbase. Again, uptrending resistance lines are definitely worth keeping an eye on. Looks like that one only has 2 touches, not as many as the others. But what I care about is LTC, BTC. Daily trend change back to the bulls. And what I care about is, can we confirm the first weekly uptrend in years? Because that's when Litecoin volatility really can pick up. So keep a close eye on this, because Litecoin will definitely play laggard if LTC BTC confirms this weekly trend change. There are other names that have a similar weekly setup. ADA BTC, much weaker. Mana BTC, much weaker. So Litecoin, trying to keep it in play. We know volatility is coming. We're trading within this range for 6 weeks. Just waiting for the break. So at this point in time, determine what time frame is most important to you for your next trade. When you're establishing a trade game plan, do I care about a 4-hour high or low? If the answer is yes, then I'm going to be keeping an eye out for potentially 5-minute oversold conditions, or maybe I want to be patient for 15-minute oversold. I'm watching 4-hour EMA 12. So that can help narrow down all the different time frames you need to be watching. Because again, in a scenario like this, you can feel like you should be doing this and so much action because there's a lot of volatility. But again, the last thing we want to be doing is over trading if we're stopping out a bunch or taking a bunch of losses. It's much better, if that's the case, to patiently stock that one trade than it is to attempt 5 trades and be a bit scatterbrained. So if I were forced to make an entry right now, I would certainly be looking for bearish top fish entries, looking for 4-hour consolidation, and then we're going to scout the 4-hour higher lows. All right. Weekly EMA 12s. Keep an eye on them. A lot of names still testing them. Bitcoin has not even tested it yet. Ethereum is trying to get over it, but still battling. And I won't have confidence saying a bottom is in until we confirm a weekly uptrend. The frogs are out. Gonna miss that sound in a couple months. So every bounce that we've seen so far, we can say that the probability is highest. The probability is higher now than it has been at any point on this pullback that the bottom is in for Ethereum. And I say that just because even after that weekly trend change that was the monthly bear flag, we only had to drop 40% for fresh lows. Already at this point, even we haven't topped yet. We don't know if we've topped yet, but if this were the top, we have to drop 50% plus to fresh fear lows. So that's more cushion for the bulls to work with. And again, you better believe there are so many bears on the sideline. There's this one account on Twitter. I'm not going to drop any names, but so many, like 300,000 followers, and just so wrong about all of these bounces, just bearish no matter what. And I'm just fascinated. I'm just fascinated by the psychology of what is going on to stay that wrong and miss every single bounce opportunity for the last 6 weeks just because you are so ingrained in one direction. And in my opinion, you have to be more fluid than that. You have to change your mind. You cannot attach your ego with your ingrained mindset when the data and the information is giving you new information. You can't be just as bearish now as you were 4 weeks ago, thinking we were heading down to Bitcoin 13,000. Your perspective has to change at this point. You can think we're about to top out on the weekly bounce. That's fine, but we just bounced 100% plus in a bunch of altcoins. It's not the same as it was 4 weeks ago. John's got it. This isn't my beer. This is tea. We go from one beer to tea. All right, I'm now talking to you all. Adam. So Adam's had some relative strength recently. It's one of the names that's headed to higher. Nope, spoke too soon. Testing resistance. So again, bears can absolutely justify top fishing resistance here. If I'm a bear looking for a top fish, I want these shorter term time frames as extended as possible. Just visualize a bull just running through obstacles. And it's been sprinting for miles and it is exhausted before it gets to the big obstacle, the big river that it has to cross. It used up all its energy to get there. 4-hour RSI was approaching 70, not quite there. Hourly RSI was above 70. A little bit of a rising wedge is actually trying to break bear right now. I would have had it like this with the back test and rejection. Yeah, that's a rising wedge bear break, so we zoom out and look for a 4-hour high or low. You have to be, if you are looking bearish, take partial positions because you're playing against momentum. So last night, I was posting a couple trades in the chat room just as far as little day trades, and one of them was OMG. And I was talking about looking for a 15-minute lower high here. So this was the bounce, and I was saying, all right, we're looking for a 15-minute lower high, anything under 201, and we topped out at $2 and pulled back to 195. Got to take a little bit off there because, again, I want to lower my risk where if bulls do see continuation, I stop out and it's just a tiny loss. If I stop out and it's a day loser, I got to take a step back. If I stop out and it's a 10% day loser, then I'm right back into being able to re-enter another position later on down the line. So if you're playing against the momentum and trying to top fish, definitely want to take some positions off, in my opinion. Natural gas, the commodity, great example of a top fish. Look at how extended these bulls were into this resistance. We pulled back 45% and then bounced 80% to test resistance, and we double topped by less than 3 pennies. And RSI levels 4-hour RSI over 80, 12-hour RSI over 80, hourly RSI was in the upper 80s. That is textbook, picture-perfect top fish play, as extended as possible into resistance. So that's the other thing we can do. We can look back at Bitcoin and say, all right, how did last weekly bounce top out? And in my opinion, this bounce is much more developed. There's much more structure to it. The last bounce attempt was sideways forever, one day. And that was it. We topped out in one day. Here, we get the higher high. This shows bulls buying the dip and squeezing out shorts. This shows bulls buying the dip and putting pressure on shorts. So you're building the stairs as opposed to sideways, but. So there's a lot more structure to this. And again, I just put myself in a position of, what would it take for Bitcoin to see significantly lower lows under 17.5? We had massive fear in the stock market and dropping in anticipation of a recession. Again, the market is forward looking, and GDP numbers that we just got, those are looking in the rear. But you've also got Tesla dumping $1 billion or whatever many dollars into that flush, definitely magnifying capitulation. And now you have so much cash on the sidelines of people saying, oh, darn, I should have bought that dip. I hope I get another chance. I just think it's going to be real hard to drop back down to lower lows from here. It definitely is a possibility. I mean, you look at retracement size on the weekly time frame, and you don't tell me anything about this chart, and I say that's a bear flag. So Bitcoin bulls definitely have more proving to do. And it's hard because when I'm talking like I just did, I don't look at Bitcoin and altcoins in the same light. So Ethereum that needs to drop 50% to a lower low, for me, is a lot different than Bitcoin that only needs to drop almost half that. So these altcoins that have bounced 100% plus have so much more space to work with. And if we did see a scenario where Bitcoin breaks 17.5 and doesn't see follow through, a lot of these altcoins could be holding their fear low. So that's going to be something to watch for as well. But first things first, we got to lose higher lows and top out. And because I was using the 2-day time frame for this last most likely scenario, looking for the 2-day higher low, I'm sticking with the 2-day as my guide from here and saying as long as we keep setting 2-day higher lows, we're not topping out on this bounce yet. When we lose 2-day higher lows, weekly consolidation will definitely be underway, and that will be a notable shift. So we will see weekly consolidation in crypto. It won't surprise us. It's just a question of when. And then once we get it, how much retracement do we see? How much retracement is the stock market seeing? Are all of our stock market sectors dropping at the same time? Or is there rotation going on? These are all key factors in terms of determining bear's strength. Have I met a successful Elliott waiver? Yes, definitely. Florida sun. Am I looking for back burners? Yes. If I'm at the computer and there is a nice confluence of signals, not just oversold, but if you give me 15-minute oversold to 4-hour EMA 12, then definitely interested in looking for some bull entries. And as long as we see, like right now, we have some alts that are still hitting higher highs, even though the majority is consolidating. That's a good sign. That's exactly what bulls want to see. That's profits rotating around. It looks like Bitcoin is on the verge of confirming this head and shoulders. So it looks like 4-hour consolidation is underway here, but some names still benefiting from some strength. Mana Mana recently has been one of the names where shorting bull breaks is the way to go. This bull break straight into consolidation. Bull break straight into a pullback. Definitely have to use a stop because you don't want to be buying a bull break looking for a quick pullback and then it just keeps running like some of these names do. Definitely have to limit that risk. I wonder, you know, who's more concerned right now, bulls or bears or people on the sidelines with cash? I would say people on the sidelines with cash are the most concerned right now. Bulls are happy and comfortable after the last few days, certainly over the last few weeks. Bears still are sticking to their long-term bias in terms of the monthly and weekly downtrends, and they have every justification to as long as those long-term time frames are in downtrends. But those with cash on the sidelines definitely, I think, are the least comfortable out of any of those three. And if it were me, and it is me, I am mostly cash. I am definitely looking for some day trades mixed in there, but I know that I won't go aggressive again until weekly consolidation happens. And if it just runs away without me, that's what long-term no-touch positions are for, and I will benefit, just not as much as ideal. But next weekly consolidation, looking for the weekly high or low. That's the next time I will be comfortable entering back into crypto with some size. Whether that happens after Bitcoin goes to 25 right here, or 24 and pulls back, or whether it happens after 28 and a pullback, that's what's going to be required for my confidence. And the retracement size will be key. Are we shaping up less than 50% retracement for a weekly trend change to shape up? Is the broader market shaping up a trend change? So many little pieces of the puzzle, but we'll certainly be checking in on all of them. I'm not really worried about Mt. Gox and unlocking coins and all that. Known events don't move the market much. If something is known long in advance, it does not move the market much. Remember when Russia invaded Ukraine and we ripped? Because we had been told time and time again, it's coming, it's coming, it's coming, drop, 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 drop. I mean, that's the best example of being fully priced in as we have in the recent past. And so you look at something like Mt. Gox that is completely known information long in advance. It's something that I'm not overly concerned with. I did a talk earlier today with a smaller crypto channel, Sin City Crypto. So check that out. We talked a bit about recession and bigger picture stuff, things like that. ETC's been getting some attention. Mana's got some volatility. ETC. 4-hour consolidation underway. Same little 30-minute head and shoulders. 15-minute close to oversold. 5-minute is oversold. So if this 5-minute bounce gives us a lower high and drops down, we're then going to be looking for 15-minute oversold. We're nowhere near 4-hour EMA 12, so that's not in the picture. If this is the low here, this will show us an extremely strong bullish market. If 5-minute oversold marks the low on a longer term time frame and you don't hit a new lower low from there, I mean, that's a characteristic of a blue sky breakout market. Obviously, we're not going to treat it the same, but that's what you see in a blue sky breakout market to show you that strength. So we'll see how this bounce plays out. We have to watch the retracement size of the bounce. Can the bulls confirm a 5-minute trend change back in their favor? Those are all going to be factors. Ethereum seeing some 5-minute oversold bounce attempt. Closing in on potential 15-minute oversold. That's right, Trader Pro. Backburners back on the menu. No looking. Just want to see how they've been playing out. That's right, we got those. Did we get weekly backburners? We got weekly super, the first ever weekly super stack. Hats off to Toby and the crew. Nailed it. It's the first time that's ever fired off. 15-minute backburners. We haven't had any recently. We're on the 5. So Ethereum's 5-minute backburners haven't marked the bottom. We have gone to lower lows from there. Bitcoin earlier today, 5-minute backburner. And then we had that reaction to the GDP numbers, bunch of wicks. But yeah, keep an eye out for first 15-minute oversold. We haven't seen those since this leg up has started. Bitcoin weekly super stack. Vet. So again, there are a bunch of names that have not broken to higher highs yet. We're going to go down the list real quick and look at them. So there's resistance at 268 and 273. I'm dripping sweat. It's dark enough. Don't look at my nipples. So we've got 2 resistances that we can be looking at here. For potential top fishing, we have to lose the hourly uptrend to have a convincing rejection. We've been setting hourly higher lows this entire time. So bulls are holding on well here. Just the fact that we're not starting this 4-hour consolidation that most names are. VET BTC is not giving us any info. But as long as those hourly higher lows keep forming, we're not going to see any 4-hour consolidation. BITI is the short ETF for Bitcoin. So you can see we're in a daily downtrend because Bitcoin's in a daily uptrend. So BITI is worth trading during the market day. Again, if you hold it overnight, you're literally just tying your hands. If you have no other way of shorting, then that's all you got. But once the market closes at 4 o'clock, Bitcoin's going to trade for 16 hours before you can do anything again. It's the kind of thing where, if I were swinging BITI and I'm short crypto and crypto breaks out, I have to be able to long crypto somewhere else to protect myself because my BITI stop will not trigger in after hours. So it is a little bit tricky in that regard, but good for day trading. So let's go down our list right now and see who has broken to higher highs and who has not. ADA has not. ENS has. BNB has. Binance BTC has got to be approaching all-time highs. Still in that channel. Keeping an eye on that. ICP has not. So if I'm a bear, I'm just next to my computer, I got a whole list of names that have not broken daily resistance yet. Those are the names that I'm interested in. XRP has not. Doge is not close. AXS just came close but has not. Double top on FTT at the moment. AVAX has not. Most names have not. The more individual names that break to higher highs, then the more likely the names that have not will, but more than half have not yet. And Bitcoin, of course, has not yet. Ape has, SHIB is not close. Theta has, Sol is still a ways away as well. Sol's over 10% away. Waves is not close. Waves is 15% away. Ethereum has, Litecoin has, GMT has not. So that's where bears are focused on, names that have not broken resistance. Because those are levels to play off of. Amazon will be back burners. Amazon first 5-minute oversold. Amazon first hourly oversold. Again, any names that are exploding to the upside. Look what Tesla. Where did Tesla set its daily high or low? First hourly oversold conditions. Granted, they got extreme, but that's just because of a 5-minute all-out dump for 15 minutes that really crushed the hourly RSI. In hindsight, I would like my 770 shares back. But it was just a little day trade flip. So again, we're seeing these back burners on 5-minute, on hourly time frames in the stock market, which shows aggressive dip buying. Uni, definitely a big time breakout for a lead bull. 4-hour consolidation underway. Some 5-minute bounces, haven't quite gotten to 15-minute oversold. V-shaped bounce. If we reject from 935, we're going to look for a 2-minute higher low compared to 910 and tighten up a bit. So if 5-minute oversold marks our 4-hour higher lows, then they are bull flags. If they don't, then the probability of bull flags decreases and we'll head to first 15-minute oversold conditions, which again, most names have not seen in a few days. And you have to determine, are you looking to be aggressive or conservative? In terms of, do you care about 5-minute oversold? Or are you going to be a little bit more picky and wait for 15-minute, or even more picky and wait for hourly? Matic. What happened to Matic? It fell out of favor a bit. Big move. Played catch up. Still resistance. First 5-minute, bulls bought it aggressively. Very aggressive dip buying. Haven't changed the 5-minute trend yet, but obviously a ton of space for a 5-minute higher low. So possible 4-hour bull flag if 5-minute oversold marks that low there. Whole bunch of resistance, 97 to 98. But if 5-minute oversold marks that low, we're certainly looking to test those resistances. That's probably one of the more convincing 5-minute oversold bounces right now. Matic BTC has a lot more work to do to get back to recent highs. Checking back in on Bitcoin to see how the consolidation is going there. Bulls trying to shape up a 5-minute inverse heading. We didn't even hit 5-minute oversold on Bitcoin. ETH ETFs, nothing liquid. Unless that's changed. Well, that's enough. $36 million. That's definitely enough, especially for swing trading. My criteria is I need at least $5 million a day for me to even look at something. So DOT's testing 808 resistance. 5-minute oversold, V-shape. These bots and algos are just set. These aren't just only humans sitting at the computer buying here. There are definitely preset conditions now. If that marks the low, it is a 4-hour bull flag. And that double top is in play. That was a failed falling wedge. I think we were keeping an eye on that from one of the recent live streams. ICP was the only 4-hour falling wedge that played out. It was a beauty. The rest, there were maybe 4 other names that had a very similar pattern, but they all dumped clearly under before that bounce. ICP was nice and contained. 2-hour inverse head and shoulders inside the falling wedge. All right, last one, then I am out of here. Going to see fish tomorrow. Like a real hippie. OP perp. Definitely very strong. Anything that's near all-time high is definitely worth paying attention to. That same head and shoulders like pattern is being negated by holding support. 156 and 165 from there. Definitely due for some daily consolidation, but plenty of space for it. But still hourly higher lows. Man is trying to get that daily resistance. 103, 105. Mana BTC is trying to keep that weekly trend change attempt alive. That candle looks a lot different than what we just looked at 30 minutes ago. That weekly candle. If this bounce continues, and if we start to see FOMO really pick up, watch for Mana, ADA, and LTC to be laggard alts, changing their prolonged BTC pairing weekly downtrends into uptrends. Already talked about Ethereum at the beginning. Rewind it if you missed it. So if I were holding cash, when do I think the best monetary amount to buy back in on Bitcoin or Ethereum would be? Scale in and determine your game plan. Are you holding for a decade or are you holding for 2 months? Those are completely different scenarios. So I don't know what your game plan is. I mean, when someone asks me a question like that, there are so many individual factors that go into that answer. What is your income like? What is your debt like? Are you going to need this capital in the next X years? These are all factors that I will never know the answer to, but they're definitely factors in terms of how I would be approaching any longer term entries, where I would be buying, how aggressively I'd be scaling in. But again, for me, next weekly consolidation, we'll be watching the daily downtrend as our guide when we start to shape up a daily trend change back to bulls. That's going to be showing us a weekly higher low forming. Or we can be watching for things like daily oversold conditions, if we were to see that. Let's go to Ethereum. Can Ethereum see daily oversold? Probably not. Maybe 12-hour. Ethereum gets to 12-hour oversold conditions. Looking for a weekly higher low. That would definitely get my attention. You can block that dude. You don't have to delete every message. All right. I appreciate you all tuning in. It's bedtime. So 5-minute oversold bounces attempting to play out. If they drop to lower lows, we're going to watch for 15-minute oversold and further 4-hour consolidation. But these little 5-minute bounces are definitely, even if you want to be aggressive, Someone entering at 1700 on Ethereum, looking for a day trade, selling half at 1720. You stick your stop at 1680. You are risk-free. And if that's the higher low and we're heading back to the highs, you've got a position. And if it's not, you stop out and then you look for the next time frame. All right, maybe I'll try 15-minute oversold. So again, that's where partial positions allow you to very comfortably sit and let it play out. If that's the 4-hour low and a bull flag, I've got a position. If it's not, I don't lose. I get my cash back and I get to try again on a different time frame. Do good things. Thanks for the clicks.